Hello and welcome to the Ingles Table Family Gathering 2018, brought to you by McCormick and French's.
This year, we're spicing up the holidays with some of our favorite recipes that we know you're going to enjoy.
We're all part of the Ingles Table family, and we all bring our own unique style. Abby J has been kind enough to welcome us to her beautiful home here on the banks of the Suzi River.
We've come with some great recipes. Now we're excited to pair up and show you how to make them. Let's get cooking!
On this week's episode, Chef Bruce Brown shares his caramel apple bread pudding. Suzi and Clark from Unicoi Preserves whip up some delicious pan-roasted Brussels sprouts with bacon. And Steve Woronoff makes a mouth-watering cranberry chutney. All coming up next, right here on the Ingles Table Family Gathering, brought to you by McCormick and French's.
Hey everybody, I'm Chef Bruce Brown from Bruce's Fabulous Foods in Marion, North Carolina. Got my faithful assistant Lindsay here helping me today with my favorite autumn dessert, caramel apple bread pudding.
Sounds delicious.
This stuff is so good and it's easy to make, something you can do at home. Now, I started off with a 20-ounce loaf of bread, just a simple loaf, white bread, and I cubed it up into large cubes. Now, if Lindsay will notice here, I've actually toasted the bread first. So what I cubed it, put it on a baking sheet, popped it in a 350-degree oven for about 10 minutes, stirred it once in the middle just to make sure they get browned all over.
Like croutons.
Like croutons, exactly. Lindsay is slicing and coring 5 apples for me over here. I'm using 3 Granny Smith and 2 Pink Lady. I like using a mixture of apples. So while she's taking care of the apples, she'll put them into the bread. I'm gonna make the custard. Now, bread pudding is basically a custard-based dish. And a custard is eggs and dairy. So I've got 8 eggs in my mixing bowl. I've got a cup of sugar. To this, I'm gonna add in a teaspoon of cinnamon, about a 1/4 teaspoon to a 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar. A lot of people wonder why cream of tartar. It's a leavening agent. It will help keep the whole dish fluffy and kind of rise up a little, and so it's not real dense and heavy. I'm gonna put in about a tablespoon of vanilla extract. You have a little bit more, not too bad. And if you'd rather have a caramel flavoring in this instead of vanilla, do that also. Then my secret ingredient, the one that I absolutely love, I was telling this to Lindsay, I love fresh ground nutmeg. I don't use pre-ground nutmeg. I'm gonna go on ahead and grind this nutmeg into this. Now here's the funny thing I said, now nutmeg, a lot of people don't realize, is readily available at every Ingles. You can find it in a little glass jar just like this, but use whole nutmeg instead of pre-ground nutmeg. It makes a world of difference. To this, to the eggs and the spices, I'm gonna add about 3 cups of whole milk. That looks about 3 cups there. If we need more, we can always add a little bit more. And 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. Get out the old, what my friends call my motorboat, but my immersion blender. Whip together.
What if we don't have an immersion blender?
You can whisk it together. Okay. Just make sure you get all the egg yolks put all the way through. Lindsay, if you wouldn't mind, pop about half that bag of chopped up walnuts into there for me. About half, and save half for the top of the dish afterwards.
Like that?
That looks good. Stir this all up together, just like this. And now the good thing is, have your pan ready, lightly sprayed, and what you do is let this sit covered in the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes and soaked up all the good custard. 350-degree oven for 45 minutes, covered, and then uncovered for another 5 to 10 just to brown it up on top. And you end up with a dessert that looks just like that.
Yum.
Nice and browned.
Oh my goodness.
Caramel sauce all over the top. What more could you ask? That wraps things up for me today. I hope you'll all enjoy this delicious caramel apple bread pudding with all the flavors of the season. McCormick, thanks for helping me spice things up. I'll see you guys real soon.
To me, cinnamon, allspice, cloves, all of those wonderful spices say holidays to me. I love to have a pot of those going on the stove when people come over. I love the aroma. All of it just smells like holidays.
So I thought about, what brings holiday flavors, holiday cheer? So I was thinking like different spices, numerous different spices. I was thinking about sweets. I was thinking about fruit, I was thinking about brown sugar. So I was just like, those flavors remind me of the holidays. It's just like a Christmas present, It's like that gift that you received that you never had before. It's like the brightening, the colors, that you got on that plate just popped it. I couldn't resist it.
Hi, I'm Suzi,
And I'm Clark, and we are Unicoi Preserves.
and we're here at Black Hawk Fly Fishing, going to prepare a special holiday dish for you today. It's our pan-roasted Brussels sprouts.
With bacon. If you don't think you like Brussels sprouts, I urge you to try this recipe, and I bet we'll make a believer out of you. This has got wonderful flavors of the fall in it. It's got pan-roasted Brussels sprouts with bacon, some of our apple cider pepper spread.
And McCormick Smokehouse Maple Seasoning. It's delicious.
So let us show you how to make this dish. We're gonna start with some Laura Lynn thick sliced bacon. You're gonna cook it on the stove top in a pan to render it out until it's crispy and remove it from the pan. We've already done that step for you today. We're gonna take our Brussels sprouts. When we use Brussels sprouts, we like to use these that are already pre-washed in a bag. You can find these in your Ingles produce area. Somebody's already cleaned them and washed them, so you don't have to.
It makes prep work so much easier. So what Clark's gonna do, he's gonna take some out of the bag and trim the bottoms off and then slice them in half.
So what I'm gonna do is take these and just lop the ends off of them and cut them in half this way.
So we've got some that we've already cut up, and to the pan I added some of the bacon fat as well as some olive oil. So I'm gonna go ahead and add these to my hot skillet and start them cooking. Sounds good, sizzling already.
So if you get any of these leaves that fall off when you're slicing your Brussels sprouts, save those. We'll add those back to the pan later as we cook them. So they'll crisp up but won't get burned. So while she's doing that, we're gonna use some McCormick Grill Mate Smokehouse Maple Seasoning to season these Brussels sprouts with. This has got a little bit of sweet and a little bit of smoky to go with it.
So I'm just stirring that in.
So these are gonna go into a 400-degree oven for 20 minutes. Then you're gonna pull them out. We're gonna add the bacon.
Put it in there, Clark.
Back to the
Looks
pan.
good. Our apple cider pepper spread from Unicoi Preserves. I like to add about 2 good spoonfuls. You don't have to measure, but just put it in. And that heat from the pan is gonna help that to melt down. So we've got our bacon in the pan and our apple cider pepper spread. And now we're gonna pop this back into the oven for about 5 minutes to let the glaze set on the Brussels sprouts.
This is also a very good time to check your seasoning. If it needs a little bit more salt and pepper, this is a good time to add it. So I'm gonna add a little bit of salt.
What kind of, that's a Himalayan pink salt, isn't it, from McCormick?
This is McCormick's grinders, so you can find these on your spice aisle. These are perfect. They're perfect to keep them from spilling all over your bags while you're traveling.
Do you know why the salt is pink?
It's because it has iron oxide in it. I did not know that, but she told me that. She's smarter than I am. So after this goes back in the oven for 5 minutes, we're gonna show you what they look like. This is the finished dish. Thanks so much for joining us here at the Ingles Table. We hope you'll love these pan-roasted Brussels sprouts with bacon.
A special thanks to McCormick for these holiday spices.
We'll see you next time.
On holidays when we would make stuffing, I would always be woken up by the smell of toast being made. My parents would toast up a bunch of bread, and then we would come in there, and my mother never liked it cubed. We'd have to tear it, so it would always be torn pieces of bread, and that smell of toast always brings back that memory.
We start in Thanksgiving before the table is cleared. We start pulling names for gifts.
Right, you're right.
And everyone has to pick a special gift out of the grab bag. Or,
it has to be a thought. It has to be a thoughtful gift.
Yep.
Steve, we're out in this field of greens. What are we doing today?
Well, hopefully having a lot of fun, but thank you so much for having us here to your ranch. We appreciate it so much. It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
And a gorgeous day.
Yes.
But what I have here today to fix is cranberry chutney, and it's an old family favorite. It's really easy to do, And so we'll get started.
Sounds delicious.
But one of the prime ingredients, of course, is using the McCormick spices. It really brings out a lot of the spices that are used and makes the home feel really that cinnamony, warm feeling with the ginger and the, just wafting all over the house. Like I said, it's really simple. First, you add your cranberries, and I use fresh cranberries. And then you put in I use golden raisins, a little bit of celery, a little bit of diced celery, and some white sugar, and a little bit of brown sugar. And all of these ingredients, of course, you can get at Ingles, where I did my shopping. And then about a cup of water, and my spices, which are the cloves, the allspice, the ginger.
Smells good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of cinnamon. And you mix all that up. And you heat it, bring it to a boil for about several minutes, and then reduce it down to a simmer. And once you get it to a simmer, then you're going to add your diced apples. And those I use Gala because they hold up really well and they have a nice tart to them.
It smells good from here.
And then you simmer that for another 15 minutes. And then turn the burner off and just let it cool for another 30 minutes or so. Spoon it up and put it in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes to an hour, and you're ready to go.
And guess what? I have something here already made. You've already made one, and we've got to try this.
Absolutely.
It sounded so delicious, and that is delicious, Steve.
Yep, an old family recipe.
Wow.
This dish contains so many holiday flavors. I know that you and your family will absolutely love. Thanks so much for joining us here at Ingles Table, and a special thanks to McCormick for always having the spices of the season. Thanks again.
This episode, we kicked off the season with Chef Bruce Brown's caramel apple bread pudding, Unicoi Preserves pan-roasted Brussels sprouts with bacon, and Steve Woronoff's mouth-watering cranberry chutney. Coming up on our next episode, Chef Derek St. Romain gets in touch with his Louisiana roots as he whips up his Zatarain's marinated blackened whole beef tenderloin. Lindsay Champion Moore digs into the family recipe drawer with her Champion Christmas casserole, and John and Patty from Sweet Memories Cooking prepare some delicious holiday crab cakes. All coming up next time on the Ingles Table Family Gathering, brought to you by McCormick and French's.